Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Just some housekeeping things just before we get started. If anybody needs to use the restroom, you exit and you go to your right. And on the right side, men's room. On the left side of the elevator is the women's. If you need to grab a drink or another snack, feel free to get up and help yourselves. You're not tied to the chairs. What I do would like is for everyone also to put their phones on silence. That would be great. So as we start, we're going to just see, it's about a 4-minute video, and then we'll start our presentation.
Every woman has a unique story, a distinct voice, but there's one thing we all share: the need to understand money.
And when we gain that understanding, something powerful rises in us. Hope.
Hope for our own future, hope for our families, hope for what's possible when women lead the way.
Despite advancements, many of us are still left in the dark when it comes to our finances. It's time to shed light on this crucial knowledge. According to projections, by the year 2030, women are set to control a staggering $30 trillion in financial assets, representing approximately 2/3 of our country's entire wealth. Further, it's estimated that while 80% of men die married, 80% of women die single. We've made great economic and academic progress, but women earn just 82 cents for every dollar earned by a man. These statistics highlight the evolving dynamics of wealth and relationships, and they remind us why hope matters. Financially confident women bring hope into every room we enter: our homes, our workplaces, our communities. That's why more women educators are needed now more than ever.
These books, showcased on TV and the internet, are more than just pages. They can become a pathway to financial literacy, delivering valuable insights, practical tips, and actionable strategies to help you seize control of your financial future and reach your goals.
Learn from women who have transformed their financial destinies with this knowledge. Their stories are real, powerful, and inspiring.
But this is just the beginning. We're inviting you to join a movement, a financial education movement for women by women.
Financial education is not just about numbers. It's about freedom, confidence, and creating the lifestyle and legacy you want. Join our women's financial education movement. Embrace the power of financial knowledge. Whether you're established, just starting out, or starting over, now is the time to be part of the revolution. Read the How Money Works for Women book, enroll in a How Money Works books course, or attend a workshop, or simply start an open and honest conversation about finances with your friends. Together, we can redefine the future of wealth, a future where women are not just watching from the sidelines, but leading the way. Your journey starts now. Be bold, be the hope, take control.
Inspired video, right? I hope everybody got excited.
Ladies, don't lynch the men that are here, okay? We're not part of that. We're trying to fix it.
I would like to introduce our first speaker. Her name is Shantae Moore. She has 20 years of experience. She has 3 kids. It is one of our first female certified financial educators here in the office, and is someone that I look up to, and it's a pleasure to work with. Shantae, welcome.
Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
You all bared the rain. Wasn't it like a torrential? I thought it was like a tornado earlier. The torrential downpour we had earlier. Let me just get our slides up. Thank you all so much for joining today. And we'll go ahead and get started and share our story about helping women with their finances and money. It's gonna be a real conversation. This isn't no easy peasy, just do this and that about your finances. We're going to get into some real issues that women face. If my slides will present. Okay, there we go. So look good? Oh, okay, perfect. So I'll be sharing my story with you all through this presentation, and then I'm gonna have some of my associates join as well. But I would encourage you, if you want to, take some notes. Let me see if I get rid of this thing right here. Take notes. Let me hide this real quick. Okay, better, right? We don't have to see all that. Feel free to take any screenshots, and we will have resources for you all at the end. We're also going to seek some feedback from you all at the end. We want to make sure that our financial literacy workshops that we host here are informational for you, that you're actually learning something and walking away with some information. And welcome. This is our HowMoneyWorks Learning Center in Oak Brook. We have thousands of offices across the country, which I'll share with you. So we're one of the local offices that teaches financial literacy workshops. And we do this probably about once a month. So keep that in mind as you think of others who you might want to share some of our information with. But tonight I'm actually going to get started. Let me get my clicker going again. Hold on. Everything times out when you don't use it right away. Get my clicker. Okay, hold on. Oops. There we go. I want to get started by, okay, now it's working. Sharing about this awesome resource that we talked about, HowMoneyWorks for Women. So this book actually came out probably about 3 or 4 years ago, ladies, I believe it was. This book is co-written by two amazing authors, Kim Schooler and Sharon Lecter. And I want to just introduce you to our authors real quickly. So Sharon Lecter is a world-renowned author. She's sold over 30 million books on personal finance. Is anyone familiar with the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki? Sharon Lecter actually co-wrote that book with Robert Kiyosaki. She was actually the brains behind it. She was the one who taught him. She's a CPA by profession. He brought her in to help him create his Rich Dad, Poor Dad book series and games. And that's when she really got started. She's been advising to US presidents. She was very active about making laws and changes in regards to financial literacy, in particular about protecting youth from financial companies. And in the way that she did that, let's take a step back. Anyone ever go to college or been on college campuses and you see like a table with like some free t-shirts and a hat, and they're like, come over here, sign up for some free money. You go buy some pizza, you spend all that free money, but what was it really? A credit card for a free t-shirt. And these credit card companies were on college campuses signing up 18-year-olds for credit cards. And do 18-year-olds typically work or have incomes or strong incomes? And youth were getting into debt before they could even enter the workforce. And I tell that story because Sharon Lecter saw that happen to her own son, and she made it her business to go to presidents and go to government and say, we need to stop this predatory lending on our college campuses. And she helped change laws. So right now, don't you know how, if you ever look at your credit card statements, I know we don't really open mail, but you know how it has a figure on there that says, if you only make minimum payments, this credit card will take so many years to pay off. That became a requirement. That became a requirement by all credit card companies because of Sharon Lecter. Is because of her advocacy and her work in financial literacy. So she does not work with our company, but she partnered with our company because she saw that we were one of the financial firms out there actually educating people and teaching people. She said, hey, let me use some of my expertise and help you. And then she partnered with one of our firm leaders. Her name here is just her in the middle there, Kim Schooler. Kim actually is a lawyer. She actually used to be the president of our broker dealer. You might have saw her sign out there, Transamerica Financial Advisor. She was a woman leader in her time. And she came after serving in the firm, she came to join our company. And so those two women partnered together and wrote this book, HowMoneyWorks for Women. And Kim joined us in one of our first women's events. I think this was from 2023-ish? 2023, when we first started our women's group here in our office. And she's in Georgia, but she came to town, she presented for our women, and we've been doing these women workshops ever since then. So we're just so blessed to have resources by women like Sharon Lecter and Kim Schooler. And I'm showing you my leadership copy because these books are sold out. Like, this is my display copy. We don't have copies for you right now, but I promise all of our guests, we will get you a copy. They're updating the book, and we expect to have some by next month. So we're talking about it. We hope that they would have them available, but we don't have the actual women's book. But I'll share about our other books that are available to you all right now. So the stuff that I'll be sharing are from the chapters in the book, and again, talking about some of our characters that we talk about through the book as well. Now, to get started, I want you to kind of think and just sit back to yourself and just ask yourself, where did you learn about money? It's a rhetorical question. You don't have to answer out loud. I think about myself. I grew up on the south side of Chicago to a single mom, poor, didn't have much at all. Honestly, I don't know how we made it. Mom made a penny turn into $2 somehow. And so when I grew up with a poverty mindset. I don't know if anyone had that type of thinking, but especially women, have you ever heard any of these phrases from your parents or grandparents? Money doesn't grow on trees, yeah, all of them, right? Pinch your pennies, save for a rainy day. This is the worst. We can't afford it. Like, I just want McDonald's, mom. No, we can't afford it. So if you're a child and you hear this thinking, negative thinking, I would say, about money over and over, how do you think you grow up feeling about money? Probably the same way, having like a negative relationship, maybe not a good positive relationship with money, right? I certainly didn't. And I started, now that I know what I know, I'm a mother of 3 kids, like Veronica mentioned, and I try to talk to my children differently because I know better. Especially down here, I don't say we can't afford it. I think, how can I afford it? Because that activates my brain to start thinking, how can I make more money? How can I save more money for these goals that I have for myself and my children? As mentioned in the video, why is it important for women to get together and have these conversations? It's because women are expected to control a significant amount of wealth. Very soon, by 2030, we are expected to control over $30 trillion of financial assets in the US. And that represents about 2/3 of the entire wealth of the nation. Now, when I first saw that statistic, I was like, I'm not giving $100,000. What does that mean? Right now, we are in the middle of a great wealth transfer. We have an aging generation, our baby boomer generations. They're retiring, they're living their long lives in retirement, and then they pass away and they're passing on their wealth. It's transferring from generation to generation. And typically the wives, the mothers, and the daughters are the one who will be receiving those accounts. They'll be the beneficiaries of those accounts. Does that make sense? So imagine if a woman doesn't have any financial knowledge, she doesn't have any financial professional to talk to, how are women going to manage that type of wealth? That's a daunting task. Do women even feel equipped? You know, if I gave you $100,000 check today, do you know how to maximize it? Do you know what to do with it? Do you know how to grow it, invest it? Do you know how to minimize taxes on it? Those are the realities that women will be facing very soon. So it's important that we start thinking about how can we equip the women that we know in our lives and love to be prepared for this great wealth transfer. Then we also have women who are advancing in life. You know, I don't ever like to think of living in a deficit. I like to think of the positives. Women, we're making great strides. You know, compared to previous generations, where we earn the majority of college and graduate degrees. We make up nearly half of the workforce. We hold more than half of management and professional careers. So we are doing well. We're working great jobs. We're starting our careers. I was watching a movie yesterday. It was about the lady who started St. Jude Hospital. And she wanted to start St. Jude Hospital by buying a house, like an abandoned house close to this hospital she worked at. And she went to get a mortgage, and the banker was like, yeah, we'll give it to you once your husband comes and signs the application. And I was like, man, that was like, I think in the 60s. I don't know how that wasn't that far long ago where women weren't even, I guess, allowed to manage their own money and to have responsibility. But we're making strides, right? On the other side of that, though, we still do have a real pay gap that we're dealing with. Statistically, women earn just 18 cents for every dollar earned by a man. Has anybody ever heard of that statistic? It's actually been updated. It's no longer 82 cents. It's 83. 83 cents.
Used to be 59.
Used to be 59. I'm going to show you a statistic on that. So I would venture to say in 2026, it's not, in most situations, it's not that someone's hiring a woman and comparing her to a man and saying, I'm going to pay you less because you're a woman. For the most part, that's not the situation. It could be the situation in certain scenarios, but for the most part, that's not the case. The reason why we earn 82 cents for every dollar earned by a man is because we're the ones who will stop our careers and stop working to take care of other people. How many women in your life do you know that stop advancing their career because they had children, because their parents became sick, or because their partners became sick. What if your partner or husband or spouse is all of a sudden sick? You're the one who's going to stop working and becoming his full-time nurse. So when we stop working in our careers, we're not making as much money. In fact, the caregiving responsibilities not only lead to lower income, it leads to lower self-confidence in women. And women will typically go for lower paid jobs because they say, I need some flexibility. So I'm just going to work part-time at this retail store. Or maybe I'll do part-time, delivery services, because they want flexibility with their time. So because we're not in position to, some women aren't, advancing their careers and kind of making it up. They don't go after those jobs that the man will typically go for. And then what happens is we get to corporate positions. We start out great as entry-level workers. About 48% of women become in entry-level, but only 26% do we see advance to executive level positions. And it's, again, if I'm taking time off from work to take care of my children, and Frank, my partner here, colleague here in the office, he keeps pushing for the promotion, who's going to get it? Probably him, because he didn't have to step away. Now, I'm not saying no men don't step away. Don't get me wrong. We love our male allies, and men are not the problem. It's just the reality that we face as women. And overall, that does have effect on our income. The bottom line hurts us. So the average median earnings by men is $61,180. Well, what is it for us? $51,000. Imagine being a single mother and you're making, you have an opportunity to have $10,000. How many of us know someone struggling? They're trying to take care of their kids, trying to make ends meet. How significant would that $10,000 be to that household? It'd be so significant, and I remember being like that after I got divorced, almost 10 years ago, about 10 years ago. I haven't thought about it in a long time. But when I got divorced, that was my most, I would say, probably rock bottom for me financially, because I no longer had my spouse. I no longer had a partner. I found myself all of a sudden responsible for all three of my children on my own. And that was hard. It was hard. $10,000, if you would have given that to me 10 years ago, would have been everything. And that was really around the time when I found this opportunity, this company, and they was like, Shantae, you're smart, you could do this. Let us help you make that $10,000. So overall, if we're not making as much in our careers over a 40-year time span, women will lose $400,000 in total lifetime income. Do you see why? If we're taking that time off, we're not working, we're not earning the paychecks, so we're not making as much. One of our characters from the book, Sarah, she was like, okay, we need to do something about that. And Dana says, yes, let's start with education. Because women are going to have these scenarios, right? These are situations that we'll probably still face no matter what. No matter how smart you are, how educated you are, how far you're advancing your career. The question is, if that happens to me and I have to stop working, do I have the financial education to make up the difference? So if we're not making as much in our careers, what does that affect when we decide to retire? Our Social Security. Retired women receive 80% of what retired men receive in Social Security benefits. So for example, if you become, let's say at age 67, a male counterpart, his Social Security benefit is $1,000 a month. For a woman, it would be $800 a month, because I'm making 80%, because I didn't work as much. Social Security is calculated by your income, by the income, how much you've worked over time. They don't just say, oh, it's not a fictitious number. They calculate it based on your earnings over your career. So women, we have a lot to catch up with, don't we? I mean, just the statistics. Again, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. We have some hope. We have plenty of hope for sure. But the reality is women face this. And we're going to talk about women who only live on Social Security and that situation for them. Ultimately, when we sit down, and if I'm working with one of my women clients, the number one regret they tell me is, I wish I started saving more. I wish I started early. I wish that I would have talked to somebody to teach me sooner. I wish I would have invested more money. That's their number one regret. Because we do everything for everyone else first, except for us. We take care of our kids, our family members, our partners. We don't take care of ourselves first. And I believe, especially with the women here in our office, we want to change this trajectory. We want women to invest more. We want women to save more and take care of themselves. And we have solutions for that. Here, one thing we know statistically, this is according to Forbes magazine, 78% of Americans right now are living paycheck to paycheck. And wouldn't you, it feels like very hard times? Like I live in Indiana and gas crossed over $4. I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't happen here. Why is this happening? But cost of living goes up. You know, when you look at the average American situation, half of their money is just going to living expenses, paying for mortgage, you know, rent, food, utilities. A good portion is actually going to debt, making debt repayments, whether it's student loans or credit cards. And then a lot of us don't even realize we're paying a lot in taxes. So we try to encourage people like, let's look at your financial situation, you know, and then they have very little for savings, right? We want to increase your savings. We want you to save more, but also teach you how to reduce your debt and then lower your taxes as well. We call that the circle. And how we do that is by taking people through a process called the seven money milestones. This is your roadmap that we teach people about how to get to your financial security and independence. I mean, with a lot of women, let me get out the way. I know people taking pictures. A lot of women want to do better with their money. They know they need to save more. They know they need to do things to take care of their children. They just don't know how. They don't know what to focus on first. They don't have any guidance. So we walk a lot of our clients and people that we teach in our workshops. We literally have a whole 7 Money Milestones workshop that we teach, where we show them, like, look, if you address all 7 of these areas in your life, you should be okay no matter what change could happen. Number 1 is just getting financially educated. A great majority of people that we meet with, we're going to put this book in your hands, our HowMoneyWorks book, or our women's book. We're going to teach you. We want you to get educated. We have workshops that folks can go through. But the bigger part of that is working with a financial professional. Sometimes, especially as women, we're too embarrassed. We're like, I probably don't even have enough to talk to someone. That's not the case. Definitely not here. We work with folks on all ends of the spectrum. You know, I always tell people, why do we try to figure out things on our own when it comes to finances? Like if you're trying to lose weight, who do we go to? A weight loss person, a trainer, a dietitian, maybe go get your shots for your stomach, whatever you do, because you're trying to get in shape, right? When we need some legal help, who do we go to? A lawyer, an attorney, Google. I don't know about Google. AI. Yeah, a chat. We look for chat GPT. We look for maybe a friend who might know someone. Who do we go to for financial advice? TikTok. Maybe we talk about what's Grok. Is that
Broke uncle.
The broke uncle, your broke coworker sitting next to you in a cubicle? Why do we try to manage our finances on our own? There's financial professionals out there who can help you. Especially, I encourage women to especially connect with a female financial professional, because we're not going to judge you. You know, if a woman says, you know what, Shantae, I know I need to save money, but I need to save $100 a month so I can pay for my eyelashes. I'm gonna say, okay, girl, we're gonna build it into the budget. Okay, we're gonna. You need your nails done? No problem. We're just gonna build it into the budget. You know, I don't know if my male counterparts would say that, but they'll be like, okay, nails, lashes. But let's get used to asking for help and realizing I can't do this on my own. I need guidance. I've been doing this for 20, 30, 40 years on my own. Maybe I'm not where I want to be. Let me try some actual professional guidance. Proper protection, which I'll touch on a little bit. It's all about protecting for the what ifs in life. What if I lose my job? What if I get sick and I can't work anymore? What if there's a premature death in the family and the breadwinner is no longer bringing in the money to pay the bills? That's where all things insurance come in. We protect for those what ifs in life. Emergency fund, we hear that all the time, right? Save 3 to 6 months of money for emergency. Do we do it though? That's the question. Do we do it? Debt management. So I think that's a huge obstacle a lot of people have. They have a lot, they're overwhelmed with, credit cards, student loans. Do I pay this credit card off first? Do I pay this one? Which, do I do the one with the high interest rate? So we help put in plans for people to save and bring down their debt. Cash flow. Sometimes we just need to earn a little extra money. Sometimes you can't really I can only squeeze you so much on your budget. And I still want you to live your life. I still want you to get your nails done. But sometimes we gotta look at having some part-time income come in, doing something extra on the side with our time, hopefully something meaningful to bring in money. Milestone number 6, that's all about investing. I call it the sexy side of money. It's cute to open up your little investment account, put your money in and invest. But there's no point in trying to invest your money if you don't have all those other 5 money milestones addressed. Because if something goes wrong, you're gonna have to sell off your investment. So we want to make sure your foundation is stabilized. And then milestone number 7, which I think is important to a lot of women, which is protecting that wealth. If I work so hard to create the right accounts, save all this money, put everything in place for my kids, I damn sure better make sure I have the legal documents in place so it actually transfers to my children. So no one can take that away from me. Have you ever seen families fight over possessions and houses, and somebody like grandma died and now everybody hates each other trying to steal grandma's stuff? We help families put in wills in place, trusts in place, power of attorneys, the right legal documents to protect all their hard-earned money and the good financial decisions that they made. So let's transition a little bit here, because in our women's book, when you do get your copy soon, our women's book highlights 8 characters in the book. And each character is a different stage in life. They're dealing with different scenarios in life, but real life situations that women deal with, we address it. Some of it is very sensitive. Some of it is, hey, I just got divorced. What do I do? So tonight we're actually going to talk about 4 of the characters and share their story a little bit and how they, work through that situation. I'm going to start with our first character. Her name is Dana. She's 42 years old. She's a hospital director. So she's actually done well for herself working in a corporate position. She has a daughter who's just about to go into college, and she's thinking, how can I help not only my family, but help educate the employees that report to me? She's in a supervisor position. And so her story in the book, Dana, she talks about she talks about workplace benefits. Because if you're at your job and you have benefits, if you're one of the lucky people who actually have benefits available to you, are we maximizing? 2/3 of Americans rely on life insurance from work as their only life insurance. And that's something for us is like, we might not want to depend on a job, because how many times have we seen people get laid off? Like I heard about massive layoffs recently with like Google and Amazon and UPS. You think you could work these places for decades. That's not the case anymore. We encourage folks, don't just rely on your life insurance at your job, because it can go away very quickly. And we want you to make sure you have protection for your entire lifetime. Other statistics here is that when women contribute to the 401k, they actually contribute about 2% less than men. Why is that? Why don't we take advantage of our 401k? Probably because we don't know how it works. We hear about a 401k, but how does it work? Do we know how to invest the money in there? In addition to that, because we don't contribute as much, our balances inside of our retirement accounts at job are about 1/3 of what men have. So if a man has $100,000 in his 401k, I probably have about 30,000, because we're not contributing as much. And then statistically, in 2022, there were 15.9 million college savings accounts. We call them 529 college savings plans that had an average balance of $25,000. That's an account that you can set up to help pay for college expenses, not even just college, but any education expenses for your children. And we know the cost of college is going up. Does anyone have any idea like how much a 4-year college costs?
Depends on where you go.
Depends on where you go, but probably average about $350,000 for 4 years. And for parents who are saving, they only have an average about $25,000 that they save on their own, if they saved anything at all. So we encourage women, like if taking care of your children is important to you, saving for college is important to you, we'll help you get you educated about the right strategies to do that. And so for our next character, I'm actually going to bring one of my, oh, not there yet. Hold on 1 second. In this situation, women who feel control, because we want women to be in control. We want you to feel confident about your finances. So women who are in control, one, they leverage their employee benefits at the job. They take advantage of what the workplace offers you, but they also establish accounts outside of the workplace. They start saving for their retirement. They make sure they're taking advantage of the free match available to them by their retirement planning or their retirement accounts. They've learned to save little by little while their children are young, so that by the time they go to college, there's a little bit of money to help them. So now I'm going to introduce my friend, Veronica. She's actually going to share with you about our character, May. So Veronica, go ahead, come back on up. Give her a hand.
I get to introduce May, and before I do that, I'll share a little bit about how I can relate to May.
Veronica, go closer to the microphone, please.
Oh, for the
Yeah.
So about 14 years ago, I was probably sitting just where you are today, right? Learning about the education. And the reason was I was just, when life happens, right? My husband got sick, and you think you have your things in order, and you have the protection and the savings, right? And this was just a sudden within 2 weeks. Unfortunately, my husband became disabled from this. He underwent a brain surgery. So somebody invited me to one of these classes because they saw how I was overwhelmed. Now I was having to take control of our finances, our family responsibility. And when I learned the class and all the basic concepts that I was getting exposed to, I was like, why is this not taught in schools? I was just surprised how it came to my life so late, I felt, right? From there, I'm an architect by profession. And after learning and getting involved, I became an educator. I loved it and fell in love with it, with that mission. So when you have the responsibilities because you have two incomes, and then all of a sudden you lose one, you're just like, okay, what am I going to do, right? Here at WealthWave, it was a perfect opportunity for me to have access to additional income by helping families learn how money works. So today I'll present May, who is 56 years old, and she's a history professor. And what is she going through now? At this age, a lot of us might find ourselves helping our parents, right? She has her aging father living with her, and she also has to help her adult son, right? So key moments here is, okay, now I'm taking care of two generations, and I also have to focus on my future, right? Having to focus on her retirement. As Shantae mentioned earlier, what happens when we become caregivers and we step away from our workplace? Women represent nearly 2/3 of unpaid caregivers and spend about 50% more time providing care than men, right? Most of the time, if anyone is sick, or we're usually the ones to step away and say, okay, I'll call off, right, and stay home. Women caregivers are almost 3 times more likely to end up in poverty and 5 times more likely to depend exclusively on Social Security. And those statistics were things that Shantae explained, right? Stepping away from work, even not working for years. And almost a quarter of American adults are part of the sandwich generation, which is something that I think I feel at this time. I have a young daughter, she's in college, and then I have my parents. So it's like I'm still in the middle of, my daughter needs me and I know my parents. So you kind of feel that sandwich. And what are the things that we could do if we're in this situation to take care of our financial future, right? Like in her case, having a meeting with her father and her son and really figuring out the finances, like how much money and support do you need from me, right? What to expect from each other. All three of them knowing exactly the finances. I mean, is it not often that we don't talk about money in our household, and as parents, like, do our kids know, like, how the situation, how are the finances going in the household? So in this case, planning and knowing exactly what are the finances, and then looking at what are the things that they could cut cost of, right? So we always hear, put your oxygen mask on first and then help others, right? Same here. She will have a plan to help with her husband, and her adult son, and for her investment, her long-term care and retirement is not in jeopardy. Okay, that's my part.
Thank you, Veronica. Veronica's story is so inspiring. She could probably share an hour to talk about the sudden, mishap that happened to her husband and have becoming all of a sudden 100% disabled. So to talk about our next character, one of our associates actually was sick, and she's a nurse. So I'm gonna go through these slides real quickly. For those of you who know our associate Susan, she's not feeling well. I said, Susan, you take care of everybody else. Take care of yourself. So she was actually going to share the story of nurse. Susan is 62 too, as well. But for Hope's situation, she actually experienced divorce later in life. Have you ever heard of that term, gray divorce? Women or people over 50 who divorce after, many years of being married. Older women go through divorce and see their standard of living decline by 45%. Because they no longer have that spouse and that partner imagine you've been married for so long and now you're no longer with them. And then 42% of women rely on Social Security for 50% or more of their income. And I don't know if you know anyone who depends on Social Security. It's usually not a lot. It's usually barely enough to help them. So in this situation, with someone who is experiencing divorce, especially a woman older in life, a clear path to help her feel more in control is one, to really engage a team of professionals, not only a financial professional, a tax professional, and of course, an attorney to help her secure her financial future. Also, to make sure she understands when to claim her Social Security benefits. Did you all know that if you've been married to someone and you divorce, and so long as you don't remarry, when you start your benefits, you can claim up to 50% of your ex-spouse's Social Security without it affecting them at all. They won't even know. They don't have to know. So as long as you've been married at least 10 years. Yes, thank you. As long as you've been married at least 10 years. So sometimes I have some clients that are thinking about divorce, and I'm like, okay, girl, I get it. You got to leave the situation. But if it's been 9 months and 9 years and 6 months, I need you to 6 more months before you sign that dotted line. Drag it out 6 more months because I need her to be officially married for 10 years. I've actually known someone who divorced in their 9th year. And she's like, oh my God, if I'd known it, I would have dealt with that idiot for another year. And that's to say again, all men are idiots, but women don't know that. I said not idiots. But again, do you think women could use that information? They could use that guidance. So we encourage folks to engage a financial professional. All right, so to move on to our next character, I'm actually going to bring up Carolyn. Carolyn is one of our, I wouldn't say younger associates, meaning newer here to work with us. She's been with us for quite a while, but I know she's a little nervous. So encourage her to come and speak here at the mic. Sit down, but Carolyn, just share a little bit about your story and introduce Fatima to the group.
Hey, I'm pretty close to Fatima. Believe it, I may say I'm young, but I'm up there in age. My situation's close to her because after working in corporate America, which was just horrible. I couldn't do it anymore. So I left corporate America, and my auntie on my husband's side was 90 years old, and she had a very bad caregiver. So I'm like, hey, we're going to go take care of her. So me and my husband moved in with her, took care of her from 90 to 96, best 6 years of her life. And then she passed away. And that's when my husband and we sat down and we're like, okay, we need to start looking at things. We need to figure out what's our next 30 years. He took a vacation from work. He fell, he hit his head. He went to the hospital, found out he had pancreatic cancer, and died 3 weeks later. And I was like, what do I do? Where do I go? I was just like her, where everything was in his name. I didn't have my own credit. We shared everything. It was, it was us. So when he was gone, it was like, well, what do I do now? And that's when I was so blessed to be introduced to Wealthway, because it showed me that I had a possibility of what I could do and where I could go. Because with being staying at home there, I didn't have a lot of things in place. I didn't have a backup plan. We didn't have savings. We didn't have a financial advisor. That's what we were just starting to get. Here. Basically half of the married women investing, the husband and wife don't usually talk. Usually the husband just goes and takes care of everything, and the wife just, okay, she gets the money and she just agrees, or she goes and signs her part, but they don't really discuss it with her. And when that does happen, when you lose your spouse, about 51% of the women out there, we're trying to live on now a single salary. I'm living on just his Social Security, and I am still a part-time homemaker, but that is not enough to cover my monthly expenses on it. So that's another reason why I love the Wealthway. It gives me the opportunity that I would not have if I had to go to corporate America or Home Depot or Ace Hardware to work. Not to mention, my age. They're going to take somebody a little bit younger and a little bit, got a little bit more spunk than I do to do the work there. So. As I explained earlier about, we don't have our own credit history and everything. And that, once again, is what empowered me with coming to Wealthway One here, is because I have the opportunity to build everything myself. My name, my business, my clients that I want to work with. And what I love to do most is share. I like to teach people. I like to help. Well, you can't always help somebody with money or material items, but with education. And when I got educated here, it was the greatest gift. And that's what empowered me to keep going with this business, is that I now know what I didn't know and what I needed to know to be financially sound and live the next 30 years of my life, because I have to do something to take care of myself. And this is the best business in the world for us single women or married, anybody, women in empowering themselves, because we get to take in charge of what we want with our destiny.
Doesn't she sound like someone confident? Good job, Carolyn.
Thank you.
And we built that in you. I love it. She's always she's like a little turtle, and she popped out the shell. Because with women, when they learn about money, they do get the confidence. And she's, from going to be a widow, and she had family working with us as well, who said, hey, come look at this. And I'm so proud of her to see who she's growing into. All right. So for our next character, I'm going to invite my friend Joanne to come up here. Sarah has a different story. And trigger warning, we're going to talk about domestic abuse in a respectful way. But unfortunately, it's a situation that a lot of women deal with, and it affects their finances. And my good friend Joanne here is going to share about her story a little bit and also talk about her character, Sarah. So give Joanne a hand.
That's right. Well, hi, everybody. I'm Joanne Milady. I've been part of the Wealthway team for almost 11 years now. I was introduced to Anthony, who is back there taking pictures right now, and through my daughter, who had been referred to by her doctor. At the time, I knew nothing about finances. I really didn't understand money at all. I simply joined to learn and get educated and get better control of my own financial life. I actually started my journey by hosting a breakfast with 15 of my friends. And I would like to say that they all came to support me, but I did have mimosas, so that might have been part of it. But they all showed, which is pretty crazy. And that day I realized something really important. I wasn't the only one who didn't understand finances. It was something everyone needed to hear. I used to think I was so alone that I didn't understand all that. And then that was when it became a mission for me to help educate and empower other people with this knowledge that I was learning. But then 3 years ago, this book came out, How Money Works for Women, with all the different characters. And I could relate to a lot of the different characters, backgrounds, as you will see when you get the book and understand. I could relate to a lot of them. But I'm going to talk about Sarah, who is 49 years of age, a single mother of 2, who escaped an abusive relationship and built a successful real estate business. This is really hard because I know in the book, they say she was asked why she didn't leave sooner. And her answer, which is really powerful, is staying in an abusive relationship is not a choice. She had young children and was completely financially dependent. That's why this matters so much. Domestic violence is considered a leading public health issue. 1 in 4 women will experience it in their lifetime. So look around the room. 1 in 4 women in this room are going to experience domestic violence. And that's a big deal to me. That's a real big deal. Oh, I'm so sorry. I am. I'm chopping and not going to the next one. Here. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, that's on here. 1. And then 99% of domestic violence victims will also suffer financial abuse as well. And financial abuse has real consequences. Victims lose millions of days of paid work each year. 59% suffer damage to their credit, and 53% lose a job, and 70% struggle to maintain employment. This is the first time I'm really talking about this. I'm talking in front of all of you, but hearing this is when I realized I had experienced financial abuse too. And I'll be honest, it was hard to admit it. What we talk about in this chapter isn't just warning signs of domestic abuse. It's also what you can do, because this applies to everyone. Whether you're going through domestic abuse or financial abuse or anything at all, we all need to know this. We all should be involved in our finances. We must know what's coming, what money's coming in and what money's going out. We need to check our credit scores. We need to build an emergency fund. Keep records of important documents, take pictures. I mean, all these things I didn't really know about any of this. So this was all new to me. And most importantly, we should be having open conversations with our partners. Financial control should never sit with just one person. Because you understand your finances, when you start to understand your finances, you take back your power. For me, everything changed when I created a plan. It didn't fix everything for me overnight, but it gave me peace of mind. I knew I could finally sleep at night knowing where I stood and where my money was going and where it was at. And that's why this is so important to me. I want others to feel the same sense of control, confidence, and security, to have a voice and to be in charge of their own future. And if you would ask my children, in the last 11 years, almost 11 years I've been in this business, I've changed dramatically. I wouldn't be up here talking to you, first of all. I was too quiet. I'm not anymore. And I really want to make sure that everybody else is empowered as well, so they can make choices and not based on their financial situation. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Joanne, for being brave to share her story. We actually, in October is Domestic Abuse Violence Awareness Month. And Joanne spearheaded an event we held here in our office about a year ago, where she brought in a nonprofit founder. Is it Stacy Peterson's or Stacy Peterson's? Her sister-in-law. So Norma Peterson, who's local to Chicago, and I don't know if you've heard of a story about 10, maybe 15, 20 years ago, in one of the suburbs here in Chicago, Bolingbrook, Stacy Peterson was believed to be murdered by her husband 20 years ago, Drew Peterson. And all abuse, I think she was pregnant at the time. It was so much going on. And so her sister-in-law started a nonprofit to help women document their violence and the abuse that they experience. And Joanne had made a great relationship with her. She came here, did a great presentation for us. We don't know women are dealing with these things because women hide it very well. And we have women here who have come to our office who even right now are experiencing financial abuse. And so we try to be a safe space, no judgment, and help them make a plan. So, it's a hard subject. It's not easy to talk to and help these type of women, but where else are they going to go? So we want to help them as well. Thank you again, Joanne. So the last character that I'll share is Jan. She's 86 years old. Think of her as someone who did it right her entire lifetime. She is actually a real woman in life. Jan is the mother of the founder of Wealthway, Tom Matthews. So Jan Matthews worked with her husband for 40 years in the financial business as a family business, and her sons, and being one of the founders of Wealthway, she worked with them. And she just really represents someone who was blessed enough to have the financial education and make the smart money decisions throughout her entire lifetime. When we think about women getting older, now we start to think about legacy and transitioning wealth. What have I've lived so good of a life. What can I pass on? Like the statistic mentioned in the video, 80% of women die single, while 80% of men die married. So oftentimes we are we're likely to lose our partners before they lose us, which means, you could be in your 70s and 80s living alone. Now you have to manage the finances on your own. You have to take care of things. 42% of women are afraid that they'll run out of money by age 80. They actually are more afraid of running out of money than dying. 77% of women say that they see money in terms of what it can do for their families. Again, if you put $10,000 check in the hands of a woman, she's going to figure out, how can I help everyone? So in 86 years, Jan has seen a lot. She's been through 13 bear markets. That means the markets were down. She's been through 13 bull markets when the markets are going up, 12 recessions. Like, we're scared about this one recession, right? She's went through 12 of them in her lifetime. She's seen 6 periods of high inflation, the Great Recession in 2008, and she saw the longest bull market from 2009 to 2020. That means the market was just going up, 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 up. She has also seen in the last 60 years, my friend mentioned it earlier, in 1963, we were earning 60 cents for every dollar earned by a man. 1990, that became 70 cents. In present day, that's 83 cents for every dollar earned by a man. In the last 50 years, Jan has seen in the 70s, only 8% of women earn college degrees, to today, nearly 60% of college degrees are earned by women. So she's seeing women advance over time. How do you feel control? Jan says, I'm so proud of myself for being on top of my finances by understanding basic financial concepts like compounding interest, the rule of 72, following the money milestones, taking control of her financial future. She's went through so many life changes, so many world events, and she stuck to her own plan. And now she just made little adjustments along the way. She said, I want to use that financial wisdom that I've gained to help the next generations of women. So as I transition here, I want you to think about what lifestyle do you want to create for yourself? I remember when I actually been here, I think a little over 14 years now, in the industry 20 years, but here 14 years. When I started 20 years ago, I used to work for about 3 or 4 big investment companies out there. You'll see their names on the buildings downtown. And the one thing that they all told me was, Shantae, don't talk to anyone unless they have $250,000 or more. And I'm like, I don't know who to talk to then. I'm this girl from the south side of Chicago, brown skin, poor. I don't even have a rich uncle in my family. Who am I going to help? I was literally in a career where I couldn't even help my own family and friends. I wasn't even worthy enough to be a client. And that was hard. On top of being a young minority woman, I was fresh out of college. And so when someone introduced me to this company, I was sitting in the front row, I had my arms folded. I was like, what are they going to teach me that I don't already know? Because I had been in the industry for a little while. And I saw the message delivered. I said, oh my God, I wish I would have saw this company first. I would have helped everybody from the door, from the get-go. And so as I came here, I really saw what could I do for my family and my children, because at that time, that was when I was starting to go through divorce. That was when I had to figure out, how do I create a lifestyle for my children on my own? And thank God somebody had the guts to talk to me and say, Shantae, why don't you take a look at this? And now my children don't know what debt is. They don't know what poor is. They would say McDonald's. I'm like, sure, let's go to McDonald's. I didn't have that opportunity when I was a child. And I'm so grateful that in one generation, because of the information that I learned here, I've changed that for my family forever. So I want you to think about that, not just my story and the stories of my colleagues. I want you to think about your story, because we're not all the same. Women are not a monolith. We don't all have the same goals. We are all in different stages of our lives, and we're all working toward different things. And what I know is that women need to work with a financial professional. We need the help. Someone who will listen to us, not talk at us, but listen to us, who will sit down and take the time to educate you, inform you, and collaborate you. So again, if you want your lashes and your budget, just tell me and we will build it in, because I care. I know that's important. Women need women financial professionals for our women clients. And one thing that we know in the financial industry is that we don't have enough women financial professionals to help the women out there. And our company, we're actually about 48-49% of representation of the financial professionals here. But those other companies that I worked with, not only was I probably one of the 1 or 2 women in the office, I was probably the only one minority woman in that office. Our mission here, I hope that you can see, is we want to stamp out financial illiteracy everywhere. When women get educated and they know how money works and they take control of that $30 trillion that we're going to be responsible for, we're going to help our families. We're going to help not only our families, but other families as well. And that's where you come in. We're sharing this message not only to provide education, but to see, can you see the vision of our company and help us accomplish that vision? Our vision is where we see a world where everyone is financially literate and they have access to the tools they need, the support they need to create a better life for themselves and their children and their families. But we see 2 issues. When you look at the financial industry, one, not many companies are actually out there educating people. They say they are. They say, oh yeah, we care about financial literacy, but are they really educating people? Are they holding workshops? Are they giving you a book? Are they sitting down with you one-on-one and taking the time? Because I'll tell you, a lot of the financial advisors I used to work with, if you didn't have $50,000 in an account, they wouldn't even talk to you. They wouldn't have a conversation with you. So we know that the education is missing. We have a lack of education and a lack of actual educators. And that's why we created our own. We said, you know what? There's no real universal financial education program out there that's easy, that's helping folks. So we said, we'll create our own. We started with our HowMoneyWorks book. Came out back in 2019. And then our women's book, we had brought out 3 years ago. And then just last year, we launched How Money Works for the next generation. Because like Veronica mentioned, we need to learn about this in school. Our young children need to learn about this. Our teenagers, our young adults. This book is actually designed for anyone 18 to 40. It talks about the first in life. Your first, going to college, your first job, your first career, your first baby, your first house, you're buying your first car. How many of us kind of stumbled our way through those life events? And we typically learn through trial and error, right? Let's get ahead of it with our youth. So we're very proud of this book, our How Money Works for Our Next Generation. Actually, the founder of our company, his two daughters, they're now in their 20s, like late 20s, and they wrote this book because they saw the example of their grandparents and their father and mother doing it. The other issue, the force, is that the financial industry is willing to exploit people. Because people are uneducated, they're easy to be exploited. They're confused. There's so many big words and jargons, and they're like crypto this and Bitcoin and Roth conversions and all these big words. And people are like, yeah, I guess that's a good thing I should probably look into. They don't know. So people are confused and they're getting taken advantage of by the financial industry. Because again, no one's really sitting down kneecap to kneecap and helping them. The average American adult spends more than $5,000 on unnecessary items, but have less than $1,000 in a savings account. Everything is tap to pay, right? Tap to pay. You don't even swipe a card no more. But you don't realize how much is being deducted from your accounts. And so as a company, we created leadership centers. This is one of our leadership centers, our How Money Works learning centers, to solve that problem, to create spaces like this and host workshops like this so that we can educate the masses. We have thousands of these, hundreds of these offices across the country, thousands of leaders, all world-class professionals from all backgrounds, all ages. Did you see some variety in the women here in our room? We're proud of that. We're very proud that we have young women, older women, different backgrounds. No matter who you are, you can be somebody here. And in our classes, a lot of people they come to become students. They just say, I just want to be educated. A lot of my colleagues say, I just wanted to learn. I was dealing with this situation, but I came here and the education changed my life. So we are passionate about educating communities. We go to churches, nonprofits, community centers, libraries, schools. We can go to your company and talk to your staff and teach our courses. We do that all across the country. We've done it, thousands of workshops here in Chicagoland because we want to impact families and individuals with the education. And then some students, they come to our classes and say, you know what, I learned about that strategy. Can you help me implement it? Yes, we actually can. We're licensed financial professionals. So we have the opportunity to actually not only educate people, but show them solutions. Just take it out of here and put it on pen and paper so you can actually start implementing strategies and savings. So a good portion of folks, they get educated and it's like, help me. I want to do something. I want to start the accounts. We have a platform where we work with over 40 different financial insurance and investment companies. So anything you need, we could probably help you with. And we'll meet your budget. We'll meet you wherever you are. There are no minimum requirements here. And then some folks say, you know what? I want to do this to help others. I want to help people in my community. I know a group of people around my neighborhood, from my background, that need this education. And so we activate them as business partners. We say, you know what? Come join us. Come work with us. We need more people. We need more women to work with us. If you're interested, the person who invited you can share more about our business model, how we help people, how we make money. Remember, I mentioned that $10,000 earlier that women need that can make a big deal. Why not give them opportunity to do it here? It's always a win-win. When I help a family, they win. And guess what? When they save money, I get compensated too for my time and expertise. They win, I win. Why can't my family win as well? So we show women how to do that and activate them as business partners. And there's really 3 ways to do that. Whatever way people want to get involved with us, they'll be a success. The first way, just be a client. You're like, you know what? I don't know what I don't know. Maybe there's some things I can get started. Let me become educated. Let me learn some of the strategies and implement those for my family. Great. We're happy to help you. We charge no fee for our financial guidance. at all. Some folks, who want to become, look at this as an opportunity to make money. We encourage all of them to start part-time. We don't want you quitting your job. Trust me, you need your job. We don't want you to quit your job, but consider working with us part-time. We'll help you get professional certifications. We'll teach you how to get up here and do the workshops. We'll actually give the materials to you so you can gain the confidence like all those women who came up here. Trust me, they didn't know that they could do that until they came through our workshops and they learned. And we have a great community here. And then maybe you're like me, you're going to be crazy and say, I'm going to do this full time. This is what I do all day, every day. I never imagined, especially going through a divorce, thinking that I would be an entrepreneur, helping women across the country, helping my community, and being able to focus on not only 100% on my business, but 100% on my children. Because that's what really matters. Mama Bear will come out any day, but Mama Bear needs to pay the bills, and Mama Bear needs to save money. And one thing I love is that when you work for yourself, you can say no. I remember when I was in corporate America, that's when I started industry on the corporate side. And my oldest daughter, she's 17 now. She was 5 at the time. In kindergarten, during recess, she fell off the monkey bars and broke her wrist. And I had to rush downtown. And I had my boss at the time, I said, oh my God, my daughter's on the way to the emergency room. I need to go. And my boss told me, wait till you finish that project, submit it, and then you can go get to the train. This mother, my daughter is on the way to the ER room, and he's telling me that I need to prioritize some project instead of going to rush to see what happened with my child. And that was the last time that anybody was going to tell me no. And that's why I came here. I was like, no, I did. Oh yeah, I fired my boss. I started making more money here than there. Fired my boss. So I don't have to say no to a boss. I don't have to worry about layoffs. I don't have any required work hours. When I want to take a vacation, I take it. When I get invited to, I'm probably one of the only parents who go on the school field trips. They drive me crazy, but I can go because I don't have to ask somebody, can I take time away? I don't have no problems working from home. When people see me on Zoom, I am happily in my shorts with a nice top and blazer at home. But I'm giving them the financial guidance. There's no required office attendance here. You come on your own time because we know you need that flexibility. We do workshops every single week. A great amount of our training is virtual. No vacation restrictions. As a woman, imagine having the freedom to say no, but yes to everything else in life. So I would encourage you, whether it's you or somebody else that consider it. Consider learning more about what we do here to become a woman financial professional, to help others, become an educator, be a professional, because women need more women. Don't go to that man. He's gonna be like, do you really need your nails done? Yes, I do. We need women. I joke about it, but sometimes it's easier to open up to another woman because they're probably going through the same thing. I've probably been through what they're going through, and I'm not even saying my life is perfect. But I'm happy to sit across the table, look at another woman in her eyeballs and say, you're going to be okay. I got you, girl. So next steps here, as I kind of wrap it up, I know a little bit long, but I hope it was worth it. For women, first and foremost, just have conversations. We need to start openly talking about money. You'll be surprised as your friends and colleagues are going through the same stuff you're going through. Know your financial situation. Eliminate the unnecessary in your life. Set your financial goals, short-term goals, medium, long-term goals. Make a plan to accomplish your goals. Save and invest more money. More importantly, continue learning how money works. You're never too old to learn. You should never stop learning. Partner with a financial professional and share your knowledge because you have the wisdom to share with other people. Tell these other girls, don't make the same mistakes I did. From Sharon Lecter out in here, a quote I love, financial freedom is freedom from fear. Really think about how am I going to protect my family, myself, and create a future for everyone else I know and love. So that's the end of our women's events. I have one more thing, but I hope that was good information for you all. If you all, someone can help pass around these evaluations to our guests, we would love your feedback. If you need a pen, let us know. The next thing I actually want to share with you is, like I mentioned, we do these workshops every month. So our next workshop will be on 7 retirement mistakes. This is for everybody, not just women. Save the date. You can scan that QR code. We would love for you to join us. This is on Tuesday, April 28th. April is actually Financial Literacy Awareness Month. I don't know if you all knew that. So we're busy doing lots of one-on-one workshops, one-on-one events. We're going to talk about retirement mistakes that people make. You know, they don't know one little thing they do could be derail everything. So you're going to learn how to understand what's your retirement number. Do you know what it takes to retire? How to create a reliable income in retirement, planning for healthcare and long-term costs in retirement, and also estate planning. How do I protect my wealth and pass it on to the next generation? So similar format, it'll be here. We'll have some refreshments. We'll have the Zoom available. So everyone on Zoom, please register as well. And that's all we have to share. So get back to, raffles. Okay, sorry folks on Zoom. If you want to, we'll go ahead and let you all on Zoom. I got it.
Oh, you got it.
We'll end the webinar. Thank you for joining us. We'll send the recording out when it's available. You all have a good night on Zoom.